Hello, and thank you for watching LSB Film Productions. We're here today in Thetford, where there's a bit of a political earthquake brewing at the moment. 13 local people have decided to stand for council. They've seen what's happening in their town, and they don't much like what's happening, and they don't much like the direction things are going. So 13 of them have decided to take the matter with their own hands, and they're going to stand for election on the 4th of May. Now, none of these people are politicians. We've done interviews, which you might have seen, and if you haven't, look them up on this channel, with each of the candidates. And each one of them has said to me, I'm not a politician, I'm not in any political party, I'm just a normal Thetford resident, and I want what's best for the town, and I've decided to put myself forward to get that. But with one exception. One of the candidates does have a bit of a political background, and that's Mark Taylor, who's here with me today. Now, Mark was first elected in 2015, I think I'm right in saying, with UKIP, and then elected again, re-elected in 2019 as an independent candidate. So we're going to have a bit of a chat with Mark today and see if he can give us a bit of an inside scoop on how the council works and what these independent candidates can expect once they get elected. So hello, Mark.
Yeah, glad to come and speak to you.
Good to see you.
I'd still class myself, even though I've been doing it for 8 years, as a non-politician.
Yeah.
Because I'm always in trouble. They don't like me talking.
Yeah. No.
They generally try and close me down, so I wouldn't class myself as an experienced politician on the council, just an experienced trouble causer.
Absolutely, that's what we need. We need more of those. So why did you get interested in politics in the first place and decide to stand back in 2015?
Well, originally I was having a point of view in the Black Horse pub, and the chairman of UKIP in the area heard my points and told me he needed me standing in the town, and against my usual beliefs of not volunteering for anything, I volunteered there and then, and got my signatures to become a councillor quite quickly. Mm-hmm. Next minute I'm standing for UKIP in the election of that year, and I got the highest votes in Norfolk.
Right.
Yeah, and what we found out was, because Thetford specifically is it's a working class area, Thetford, and when UKIP gave the people a chance to have something different to vote for at the time, the town turned out and supported UKIP at the time, and I was lucky enough to get elected on a good majority.
So that, in a way, that's quite comparable to the situation now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where you've got these independent candidates who aren't part of the two main parties. Maybe more people will come out and see that there's actually something different to vote for this time.
Yeah, I think at the time we were all looking, the status quo, the main two parties were virtually agreeing with each other and saying the same thing. And UKIP was like a gang of insurgents, and they wanted to do something different. A lot of the people identified with that. It lost its way and we all became independents, but I think that's happening now. I think people realise it doesn't matter if you vote Labour, it doesn't matter if you vote for Conservative. At the top they all come together with the same rhetoric, the same ideals, and at the bottom it's not a choice. And I think that the Thetford Thomas Paine independents are going to give the people of the town a choice by the way they're going to conduct themselves, doing things differently, and as I've said before, trying to work from the bottom up for what the people want, rather than taking directives from the top down.
Definitely.
How exactly we're going to do that? People are saying, have you got policies? We've got rough beliefs at the minute, but we do plan to speak to the people, find out what the people want, vote accordingly, and put pressure on higher up for the people.
Sure, yeah. And I've seen the Thomas Paine Independents, they've got some pledges and some principles that they put together. So it's not so much specific policies, it's just the way they're going to go about things, and that's what needs to be different, as you're saying. Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, have you found that as your own experience as a councillor, that you as first as a UKIP and then as an independent, you go into council, as our independent councillors would if they're elected, and you see sort of a wall of blue and red, and they've got it, they're very cosy there, and they know how things work, and they've got things running their own way. Is that so? It's difficult for you to.
Yeah, they tend to give the impression to the people that they're doing something for them, but they're not. They get paid at the Brecklin level, and they get paid at the county level. Now, as you go up to those levels, your power is diminished from the point of view of the town. So, for example, we'd only have 8 Breckland councillors, if we were lucky enough to get voted in, sitting on the Breckland Council. Now, Breckland is predominantly conservative. So, the 8 of you here are not going to be able to do that much unless you make a conscious effort to stand up for the people in Thetford with what you say, how you say it, and don't make being at the Breckland level about the money. So I think if we do get into Breckland, we're going to bring some fresh ideas and definitely shake the place up. Because we're not there for the money.
And not there for a political party either.
Not there for a political party. We've all got our own beliefs, but the beliefs we've got do not fit in with the 2 major parties. That's what brings us together.
Yeah, each candidate, although they, as you say, they share beliefs, share principles about a sort of bottom-up process, they are their own individual people and their own experience from life, and they can bring something different to the... Yeah, absolutely. So are there any examples of your time in council over the last 8 years, anything to talk about that you...
Well, again, what I find is the thing that's always frustrated me is the lack of debate at all levels. I mean, you've got 15 minutes to talk at the Thetford Town level, and that 15 minutes goes very, very quickly. You know, generally you can't speak at the next 2 levels up. Now, if you as a councillor start to probe a decision that's made, what you find is all the other councillors just close ranks on you. I mean, you'll see on YouTube, they won't let you speak. They'll close the debate down. And it's generally that debate and the ability to speak is what's getting across what the people want to know. But when you're not allowed to communicate on these councils, and they won't listen to what an issue is, you're not getting any will of the people. I think if we can get the 13 of us onto the town council, it would be very, very hard for them to close debate down when there's 13 of us.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, I don't have any personal experience. If there's just 1 or 2 of you there that are outside the blue and the red, and you can be the eyes and ears of the people and you can report back what's happening, but it's going to be very difficult if there's 1 or 2 of you up against 16 or 17 to get anything practical done.
So don't forget, at the higher level, it's something that I've spoke about it before, it's called the whip. It means if you join the major party, you've got to do as you're told. Now, if they make a decision at the county level and at the Breckland level, and it's bad for Thetford, because you're in the Labour or the Conservative Party, you can't stand up for the town because you have got to go with the whip. And if you go against the whip, they probably will throw you out the party. It's happened to Andrew Bridgen in Parliament. He's gone against what the Conservatives want, he's been thrown out. So what you'll find is at that level, Thetford will go unheard. With us being independent, we're only bothered about Thetford, so we'll be able to bring a lot more pressure to bear.
I can imagine if there's an elected representative from one of the parties, they actually owe their seat not so much to the people, they owe it to the party.
Yes.
Because they have to keep that blue rosette, they have to keep that red rosette. If they lose that, they lose their seat. Whereas with the independents, as we were saying, it's somebody who's been elected on their own merit, off their own bat. Absolutely. I was looking on Facebook this morning and I saw somebody mention something about a Thetford boat. What's this about a Thetford boat? I don't know how many miles we are from the sea, but...
No, basically we used to have a boat on the river here. Originally, when it was first put there, it was run by a nice chef.
Okay.
The family came down from Liverpool, sat on the boat, thought it was a fantastic asset for the town. In later years, it was sold on to somebody else, and they let it go into a little bit of rack and ruin.
Yeah.
And it became a bit of an eyesore. Now the man who owned it went broke during COVID, and it went up for sale in an auction. Now the manager of the Thomas Paine Hotel got a few entrepreneurs in town together and asked them if they fancied purchasing the boat for the good of Thetford. So basically there was a firm who were going to put alarms in, somebody was going to put fires in, we had electricians, and that was going to get run for hospitality. And the idea was to have it open during the day, English teas, white wine, teas, coffees, sandwiches. And on selected evenings, opening up as an old English pub.
Mm.
It was actually going to be called the Stupid Boy After Pike.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because Pike's mural is just behind on the main road behind the boat.
Oh, Dad's Army.
So we did the Dad's Army aspect, and Dad's Army were going to be invited at the end of their tours to come onto the boat somewhere for refreshments for them. So a gang of Thetford entrepreneurs were going to put their own money in to run that for the good of Thetford. Now, Brecon Council knew about that and said nothing. And from what I remember, there was 10,000 in the pot to buy it, and it was going to get sorted out. When the auction came up, and Mrs F and Mrs G were bidding,
Right.
and once the £10,000 of the Thetford Entrepreneurs was blown away by Mrs F and Mrs G, the price rose up to £30,000, and consequently we found out after that that it was Brecon Council who were bidding.
Wow.
Under a like a nom de plume.
Not under their own name.
Not under their own name, and they only found out afterwards. No, they, as far as I'm aware, they knew the Thetford Entrepreneurs wanted to purchase the boat and said nothing. So £30,000 was spent of taxpayers' money on purchasing the boat, and then I think it was about £10,000 on a specialist crane to come in because it's landlocked.
Right.
Specialist crane came in and moved it, so nearly £40,000 of taxpayers' money was spent. And when I tried to bring that up at council, conveniently, it was not put on as an agenda item. They would not let me speak. It's actually on YouTube. I was shouted down. So we've never fully had an investigation at any level on the £40,000 of taxpayers' money. Now, I do know that the representative in that area, Councillor Jeremy Labour and Councillor Brain Conservative, they were part of the consultation and agreed that the boat should go. But at no time did anybody speak to the entrepreneurs who all lived in Thetford who were going to purchase it. And I think the town definitely missed a trick there.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't speak to the entrepreneurs, but they didn't speak to the people of Thetford either. I wonder how many people in Thetford know they own a part share in a boat.
No.
That's where their money's going.
Yeah, you could say that they do share it. You know, I think some people would look on it at the time and think that's a bit of an eyesore. However, that very, very quickly we could have turned that into an asset for the town.
Yeah.
And to have a boat in your town, and you know, people could have hired it. It would have been a fantastic asset.
Yeah.
But £40,000 of taxpayers' money,
Yeah.
and nobody batted an eyelid.
No, I find that quite surprising, really. I mean, we can't second guess what their motives were, but why a council is in the business of buying a restaurant boat and then just to have it scrapped seems very strange.
Yeah, it's beyond me. It's beyond me. But what concerned me was the fact that when we tried to ask questions, again, we were not allowed, well, I wasn't allowed to ask questions. You can actually see it on YouTube. I think that was in 2020 summer.
Okay.
I did call the chairman, the lady, a little Hitler.
Right.
And it did go to the papers. It was quite, well, I thought it was quite funny.
Fantastic.
Anybody who's interested, you will catch that on YouTube.
So, what was it like being a Brecon councillor?
Brecon was interesting from my point of view because we became the official opposition to the Conservatives. So there was 4 UKIP and only 2 Labour. So the good people of Thetford actually voted for UKIP and put us in as the opposition. That's what we're trying to do at the minute. Usually, traditionally in Thetford, there's only 25%, I would say, of the town actually turn out to vote. So if we can get above 25% out to vote, we stand a good chance of getting some of the Thomas Payne representatives in there. But it's quite strange when you go up to Brecon. It's a bigger council. There's nearly 40 councillors there. Majority of them Conservative, so there's not much you can do when it comes to the voting. However, if you're united as a town and representing the town, you will bring pressure to bear. I still wouldn't trust them as far as I could throw them over.
And this is something, I mean, we just did a video with Jenny Hollis, who's an outgoing councillor as well on the town. And it's the same thing came up from talking to Jenny, that it's all very well having 1 or 2 independents in. You can, you know, as we say, you can be the eyes and the ears, but you need a decent chunk of you in there, preferably a majority on the town council and certainly a chunk at Brecon as well.
Yeah.
To be able to have some power to get things done.
Yeah, it's it's going to be a big ask, you know, but if we can get 8 of us up there, it will send a sign to Brecon that, you know, Thetford is united. We want the town represented from the bottom and not dictated to from the top down. So
absolutely.
Hopefully we can do that, yes.
Yeah, and not just assigned to Brecon, but around the world as well. People have been looking at Thetford. What the independents are doing here, the Thomas Paine Independents, is really putting Thetford back on the map. I know they've had messages of support from all over the world, like Texas, Australia, all over.
Well, that's it, yeah. You know, we're very glad of it as well. Keeps us going because, as I said, I didn't think I was going to stand in this election, but you know, the impetus with the other people who were standing, like it's.
Reinvigorated.
Yeah, galvanised me to have another go with it, like so.
Yeah.
There'll probably be some people at 2 levels of council won't be happy with that, but
that's what we want. I think they've had it a bit too much their own way, haven't they? They've been a bit too comfortable.
But again, I just can't believe the lack of dialogue and the lack of consultation and the lack of debate, because generally people, when they debate things, will come to a consensus of agreement. But the frustration thing I've had in the 8 years is the lack of debate. You know, and then when you do try and say something, they close you down.
Would you say that's because decisions have already been made?
Decisions have already been made at the higher levels,
yeah.
But, you know, that is where I think Labour in the town should be doing more. They put across that they're doing a lot for the town, in the town, but there's no power in the town. Your pressure has got to be put at the next level, because that is where the decisions are made. And I sometimes think people are too interested in the money. That's my own personal point of view. Yeah,
and that's something, again, the Thomas Paine Independents, they're going to set up a fund, aren't they?
Yeah, we've got somebody who's not standing as a councillor who's going to start a trust fund up, and the money will go into that, and you know, it'll come to good for the town. And I would say that pot would build up quite quickly. And then, you know, we'll have some sort of committee who would look after the money and decide where it goes for the good of Thetford. But at least we'd have something, yeah, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that would top up quite quickly, because if it's their Brecon councillors' allowance they're paying in, that's something like 6,000 a year, something like that. So the more councillors we get elected with the independents, and then that'll top up pretty quickly.
I think the priority at the minute would be a few bags sand and cement, and get some of the holes in town filled in, because you can hide in the holes in town at the minute.
Absolutely.
But you know, there's county, you know, we're spending a lot of money to the county council. Nobody's doing anything about the roads.
Yeah, and the litter picking as well, that's something similar.
Oh, well, don't get me started on litter picking. We spend a lot of money, don't we, to Brecon and Serco and everybody to do rubbish. And, but you'll always get the Labour people out doing a litter pick. Me personally, I would put the pressure on Brecon and Serco and say, get the litter picked up, we're paying for it. Instead of the councillors going out and getting a photo opportunity.
It almost seems like a publicity stunt, doesn't it? Particularly around election time.
Yeah. That's it, you know, get onto the high level council, people pay for that service, and get them out. The minute you're doing it yourself, it's telling you that your money's not being spent wisely, I would say.
So it's only a week now until the elections, not very many days. What's your sort of gut feeling on how we're going to do?
I think, again, it all comes down to the turnout. If the turnout is low, generally you find that the Labour lads and ladies do well. But I think if the good people of Thetford will give us a chance and turn out, and don't forget your ID, because they're making it even harder to vote now, aren't they, with the ID. But if people come out and vote, I think the Thomas Paine Independents will do well. I mean, what is the option? Vote red and blue, Conservative, Labour. Where's that going to lead you? You know, they're both as bad as each other. We need something different, especially in the town. We need people standing and fighting for the town in everything they do and everything they say at the higher levels, and that's what people will get if they vote for the Thomas Paine Independents.
Fantastic. Okay, so that's Mark Taylor, who himself is standing in Priory Ward for both the town and the District Council on the 4th of May. Thank you for your time, Mark.
Thanks very much.